Kitco Mining's special coverage of the Precious Metals Summit in Zurich is brought to you by Vizsla Copper.
When will silver break out? This is Paul Harris for Kitco Mining at the Precious Metals Summit in Zurich in Switzerland. Joining me this morning to answer the question is George Paspalas, CEO of MAG Silver. George, good morning and welcome to Kitco.
Morning, thank you for having me.
Now, silver's been moving differently to gold recently. It's moving in different patterns. Why is that, do you think?
I wish I knew the answer. I mean, if you look at the fundamentals for silver, I'm not an economist, I'm an engineer, but we've had successive market deficits. Last year, the market was in deficit by 238 million ounces of silver, which is like almost a quarter of the annual production. The market's in deficit. Silver price decreased by 14%, to $21. I don't really understand, but there have been year-on-year successive fundamental reasons why silver should be breaking out, excuse me, and it's not.
It seems to be tapped at that sort of $23 level, can't really push past that.
It's going to come. I mean, you can't have increasing demand, outstripping supply, inventories falling by 50%, and the price doesn't move. So at some point in time, silver will break out, and I think it'll be quite significant.
I'm going to dive down the rabbit hole here. A lot of people around the space talk about price manipulation. Is that something that you want to get into?
Well, look, I don't know, but when you have something so fundamental in terms of where a price should go, and it's not going, is it as simple as investor apathy about the price? I don't know. Or is it more nefarious? I don't know. All I know is silver, I believe, should not be where it is. It should be significantly higher. And I'm not saying that just because we're bringing a brand new, shiny, large silver producing asset into the silver supply chain. I just think that silver should be performing a lot better than it is.
Well, many of the economists that have been speaking here at this event have been talking about the macroeconomic fundamentals that are pushing and pulling the US dollar and the gold price related to that. The big part of the message I'm getting is that the setup is for the precious metals to move significantly higher because at some point the US dollar cannot maintain the strength that it has had.
Look, and I've been hearing that for well over a year, maybe even longer. But there just seems to be headwinds that stop this fundamental change that should be happening to the metal prices from occurring. At some point in time, it's going to happen. Is it next week? Is it another year we have to wait? But at some point in time, it's going to be good for precious metal producers.
Okay, well, let's change tack. As a precious metals producer, as you are now, you can control your production, you can try and control your costs, you can't control your price, you're a price taker. So let's talk about things you can control. Juanicipio, you're mining Mexico, in which you're the partner. You've achieved nameplate capacity there, congratulations. Now that you've got that important milestone under your belt, cash flowing, what are your aims for your balance sheet first off? Let's start there.
As you say, we've achieved nameplate now. We just released our third quarter financials where for the first time we've seen free cash flow from the operation being returned back to our Vancouver corporate office, contributing to the balance sheet. We now have $55 million of cash on the balance sheet as of the end of September this year. And our objective here in the short term is to build a robust balance sheet. We need to have ourselves set up for the next 3 to 5 years to execute on our strategic intent to have success at Juanicipio from an exploration perspective, at Deer Trail in Utah from an exploration perspective, and also at Larder in Ontario. So let's get the balance sheet strong and robust and enable us to execute for the next 3 to 5 years. And then we'll start making the decisions about capital allocation. And now we've got loyal shareholders. We like to reward those shareholders when it's appropriate. And really the focus now is just the facility's running. It's running well. Let's start to optimise. We have a wonderful margin at the moment, but let's try and maximise that margin.
and you recently put in place a $40 million senior secured revolving credit facility. That was in October. And that's, again, adding to balance sheet strengths. You've got extra to dip into as and when and if you need it.
Correct. And, it's just about it's about growing up. And, being a producing company now, it's just good financial strategy to have access to a line of credit should you need it on your balance sheet.
Now, as you mentioned, George, you've got various organic growth projects, exploration projects in your portfolio. But I want to open up that question a bit broader when talking about strategic intent of the company. You've got that big milestone, you've got your landmark asset now in place. In the exploration of your other projects, that will deliver or it won't. But where do you want to go as a company now?
Well, I think we want to continue to increase the number of cash flowing assets that we have in MAG. Exploration, we've shown we're successful at exploration, we're competent, we're good at exploration, but exploration has an embedded timeline. And ultimately, we're planning for success. Another discovery at Juanicipio, discovery at Deer Trail, discovery at Larder. The best case scenario is probably some success there over the next 3 to 5 years. Now as we're starting to build up cash, we're starting to look at, are there any accretive opportunities out there where maybe there's another access to a cash flowing stream that gives us some political diversity from just Mexico. And so, we're not in a rush, but we want to build ourselves take the wonderful asset that Juanicipio is and the cash that that's going to contribute and build ourselves into a mid-tier, robust, precious metal producing company.
Now, a couple of things I want to pick up on there. Your last statement there, precious metals company. Your first asset, very much a silver asset. Are you looking for another silver asset, or do you want to get onto gold as well? We
like silver, right? And, MAG Silver is actually a silver company. 75% of the revenue.
There's not many of you guys left.
There's not, right? And there's a premium attracted to that, which we want to try and hold as much as we can. So our initial sort of, as we look for exploration assets, maybe other assets in the world, silver is the primary target. But silver generally doesn't occur on its own naturally. It comes with other things. Even Juanicipio, for example, right? We have gold, we have lead, we have zinc, and ultimately, with a little bit more depth, we'll have copper in that system as well. So we say we're silver driven, but precious metals are good. But invariably, sometimes they come with other metals as well, which is also very good because it's incremental revenue. It gives you good operating costs, and polymetallic mines are generally high margin mines.
Now, what about the Mexico aspect of that? You had a competitor that also recently started production, very high grade, in Mexico. There's another couple of projects, big projects coming up through the ranks, getting to that closer and closer towards the construction decision. Do you have an interest in those kind of assets?
We look at anything that's sort of accretive to us. I mean, one of the challenges that we face is there aren't many assets out there that will approximate something like a Juanicipio. So, we just have to be prudent. As I said, our preferred strategy here is with the drill bit because that's what we're good at. That's what we've been successful with in the past. And quite frankly, we talk a lot about Juanicipio now and the cash flow and the margins, and you're a producer and you're awesome. We've only explored 5% of that property, the surface area of that property. And there are very compelling reasons that indicate, or there's very compelling evidence that there is potentially more upwelling zones, like what Valdecanes is, on that joint venture ground. And we're aligned with our partner Fresnillo about exploring those. And so, more of Mexico may mean more upwelling zones on the Juanicipio property, which would be very accretive to us because, we mine there, we have a process facility there. A lot of capital embedded can be utilised with exploration success.
The land package at Juanicipio, is that 100% in the joint venture, or do you have some of that on your own?
No, all of the Juanicipio property is 56, 44%. It's in the joint venture, and Fresnillo are the operator.
Okay, so we're coming to the end of what has been a very successful 2023 for MAG Silver. What can we expect to see from the company in 2024?
Well, more success, right? Now that Juanicipio is sort of up and running on its own 2 feet, as I said, we're turning to optimization now. We're turning to maximize margin, maximize free cash flow generation, build our balance sheet. Our property in Ontario, Larder, we raised $23 million Canadian flow-through capital early in this year at the end of January. And that takes us through to the end of 2024 with a 17,000 metre drill program. So we have some very exciting targets we're drilling there at the moment. Hopefully next year we're telling you how much gold we found at Larder. We probably have a roughly $10 million US drill program exploration program at Deer Trail in Utah. That is an incredible system, right? Large, multiple mineralisation stages. A word that investors don't want to hear, it's complex, but geologists love that because that means opportunity. And Deer Trail could be a significant discovery on the next hole, or it could be a significant discovery over the next few years. So let's talk about cash flow in 2024 coming from Juanicipio, maximising that, using a little bit of that cash flow to fund Deer Trail, drilling both Deer Trail and Larder, also drilling the joint venture ground. I hope 2024 is major discovery for MAG Silver whilst we're building cash on the balance sheet.
Well, I wish you the best of luck with that, George, and hopefully we can get you back here next year to talk about a new discovery.
I'd love to come back and do that, Paul.
Well, thank you very much for joining us today.
No worries.
And this is Paul Harris for Kitco Mining at the Precious Metals Summit in Zurich in Switzerland. And if you like what you see, don't forget to subscribe.
Kitco Mining's special coverage of the Precious Metals Summit in Zurich is brought to you by Vizsla Copper.